Okay, very good. In today's session, I want to talk about the fundamentals of real estate investing. All right, so what are the fundamentals for real estate investors? Okay, so there's a lot of different situations or scenarios or ways that investors can get into property, but there's really only a handful of methods to actually make that happen. Okay, and so if it's not our primary residence, the intention is to be an investment property, and the goal is to create profits, right? So we're looking at either buying it and maybe doing something with it, maybe not doing anything with it at all, maybe doing major renovations, okay? And then reselling it, all right? Buying it quickly, maybe not so quickly, reselling it. And then on the other hand, we got buying it and holding it, whether it's for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years or longer. And we could get into the different types of financing and creative methods and strategies and on and on and on. But I wanna keep it basic, somewhat basic today, making it as simple as can be for that investor that wants to do their very first investment property. And again, not necessarily a house hack or your primary residence and then later turning that into an investment property, but just keeping it simple. It's gonna be your first or maybe your 1,000th investment property. How does that really look? Okay, and by the way, my name is Luther. I'm a real estate agent and a real estate investor here in the Kansas City market. Upside Property Services is my brokerage. Today is Monday, December 2nd. We're in fourth quarter, wrapping up the year 2024. So I appreciate you tuning in. Check me out on the various social media platforms. I share content every week where I talk about real estate, investing, entrepreneurship, sales, personal development. All right. So real estate investing fundamentals. Let's get back to it. As far as the purchase goes, all right, you're either gonna be purchasing it with cash. All right. You might be looking at purchasing it using some type of long-term financing, or you're going to be purchasing it using some type of short-term funding. That's really it. And we could get into a 1,000 different ways of making it happen, and we could talk strategy all day long. But when it comes to just the nuts and bolts, the basics of real estate investing, you got buy and hold, right? Or you got buy and resell, however that looks. And then on the acquisition, you're coming in with cash. There's long-term financing and short-term funding, all right? And so for most investors, we're limited on capital, right? We either gotta generate it and earn it and save it ourselves. Then we can invest somehow. We can look at partnering with someone, and we can even look at doing both of those things and leveraging some type of short-term funding or long-term financing. And we could even look at existing financing, right? I get it. A lot for us investors, we want to go, creative financing, right? Or we want to, go quick turn, and we want to use none of our own money, if at all possible. And however we can make that happen is fantastic. And I want to look at, I've talked about some of that stuff, excuse me, in previous videos. So check me out there, because that's one of my specialties is seller financing, creative financing. But it's been challenging the last couple of years. And I want to see not just, other people, myself, my partners, my clients, and so forth, open up more doors. So we're not so much limited on having just to use hard money loans, right? Or we don't necessarily have to limit ourselves to just doing subject to the existing financing or seller carrybacks. We can open up more doors by But in the meantime, that's probably the route that we're going to go, right? Until we figure out how we're going to make more money, or how we're going to raise more money, or how we're going to borrow or partner, basically raise more money, right? At some point, if depending on how you want to operate, how many transactions or deals you want to do each year, how big you want to grow your real estate investing business or your real estate investing portfolio, then you might have to dig deep, because I know for me and a lot of the guys that I work with, we're looking to grow. So we're looking at all of it. We're looking at all of it. But I want to keep it somewhat basic for today, especially for that real estate practitioner out there, or that aspiring real estate investor who's been on the grind. They've been looking for deals. They've been looking for opportunities. They've worked for a number of different companies. They've worked for had a number of different partnerships perhaps. And let's face it, most of us, we end up spending most of our time looking for deals, marketing for motivated sellers. That's fantastic. However, it's only going to get us so far. All right. So I want to educate, inspire, collaborate, encourage some of y'all to look at the basics and figure out how you can make that happen and open up more doors for yourself and for your business and for your family and so forth. All right. So buy and hold, buy and resell, purchasing, cash, short-term funding, long-term financing of some sort. All right. So for most of us, right, even if we find an opportunity, we have some of our own money, we may be able to bring in outside capital somehow. More often than not, for a lot of real estate investors, not including your primary residence, because that's how I got into my first investment property years ago, was my primary residence. But the first transaction that I did that was not a primary residence, I needed to come up with some money in order to get it done. And so I partnered with somebody. I partnered with a number of people over the last 10 plus years. And that's been one of the best ways to do it. All right. So I wanted buy and hold. I still want buy and hold. That's long-term going to be the main objective. However, part of earning, generating, saving to hopefully reinvest, doing that with outside capital partners, private money lenders, and so forth. A lot of times we gotta do the quick turn. We gotta wholesale or hotel or fix it flip. So let's talk about that. I wasn't sure which direction I was gonna go with this video. I wanted to talk about funding and renovating investment properties. And of course, as part of that, you got renovate and resell. And you also got renovate, refinance, and keep. But a big thing, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I want to use it multiple times during this session or this video, is gap funds. Okay, that's the part that comes from you or your partner or your private money lender to help fill the gaps. All right, so for most investors, in order to generate money that they can reinvest outside of what they can raise, because we know most of y'all aren't going to raise the money yet, because it's scary. It's something that's going to take time. You got to feel like you have the confidence. You got to feel like you feel like you don't necessarily need to, but we feel like we need the confidence. We feel like we need the experience, right? Okay, but that's a whole other story. Let's stay on track here, Luther. So we're going to look at it. We're going to come across an opportunity, and more often than not, it's going to be a single family home investment property that's vacant. It might not be vacant yet, but at some point it's going to become vacant. And then from there, we're going to purchase it, we're going to renovate it, and then we're going to resell it. Okay? That's what we do. That's what most of us are going to continue to do as a way for us to generate capital. Okay? So what does that look like? If we don't have cash ourselves, or if we don't bring in a partner with cash who has enough to be able to fund the purchase, the renovation, the holding costs, the incidentals, and so forth, the reserves and whatnot, then we're going to have to leverage that. Okay, so most of us are going to be leveraging that with either a hard money loan or some type of short-term funding. Okay, well, what's that look like? So that's where we need the gap funds again, all right? Because that lender, whether it's going to be some type of short-term funding. It might be a hard money loan. You may not want to call it that. The lender may not want to call it that. It could be some type of short-term funding where they're going to loan you money for the purchase and potentially all of the renovation up to a certain percentage of the after repair value. Well, then you got to figure out the gap funds. Even if you find a really sweet deal, right? And you know that you could be, or you believe that you could be all in, meaning the cost of the purchase and the renovation reserves, whatever else, you believe that you could be all in at 65 to maybe 70% of the after repair value. Okay, cool. So your private money lender or your hard money lender is going to fund all of that, right? What does that look like? What is the process? So all right, so you find that opportunity. The lender funds, are they going to just wire the money to your bank account? Okay, probably not. So you got to dig in a little bit. So you find this opportunity. The lender, however that's set up, whoever it is, whatever the terms are, whatever the title is, hard money or not, it's going to be short term, probably 6 to 12 months. The interest rate's going to be a little bit higher. So the clock's ticking. They'll fund the acquisition. They're going to send the money to the title company, right? Then from there, you got to get through the renovation process. Whether you're going to fix it and resell it, right? Renovate, resell, or whether you want to rehab it, right? And then refinance, okay? You got renovate, resell, you got rehabilitate, refinance, keep, right? Either way, you got the property, you own it now. The clock is ticking. You got 6 to 12 months to get through the rehab and the refi, or the rehab and the resell. So, okay, you're looking at your lender now that you own this property saying, all right, well, I got to get through the renovation process. Maybe they didn't make that clear to you. Maybe you didn't ask the right questions, whatever happened. You got to come up with the gap funds. So hopefully you or you and your partner or whoever's involved can help or fund the gap funds, right? Because you're going to have to get through the draw process. You're going to have to potentially get through the first, the second, maybe even the third renovation draw out of pocket. You and your partner, you besides the whoever else is involved, is going to have to get through the renovation process. Then you're going to send proof to the lender, right? That you did, that your contractor said they did, invoices, pictures, a spreadsheet, whatever that is, okay, proof that the work, and then they're going to verify, somebody needs to verify that the work was done, okay? Then that you can get reimbursed from the lender, right? Okay, so the gap funds are critical. So this is why I've been piping up a lot more about this lately, because you figure out the gap funds and you get some reps in, and it's going to help you become more efficient and savvy and experienced as a real estate investor, okay? So I'm going through a situation right now where I'm looking to do a similar thing with a business partner. And I told him at least 5 times, we haven't even looked at deals yet. He sent me some leads, or he sent me some stuff on Zillow. I'm not getting out and going to the property yet. I had to tell him 5 times, hey, we're gonna need gap funds of somewhere. Okay, we're in Kansas City, all right? B-class single family homes, right? That's our specialty, right? We know that we're gonna leverage the short-term debt, i.e. the hard money loan, because my business partner, or soon-to-be business partner, and I are limited on capital, right? We got access to maybe $30,000 to $60,000, let's say, right? So we're gonna have to leverage that, because we're not gonna necessarily be able to buy and renovate and resell a property anymore. Unfortunately, it just seems like a few years ago we could do that in Kansas City, right? for 60 grand, we could buy a house, rehab it, and keep it, right? Or buy it and rehab it and sell it. Well, it's a lot different now. So we got to figure out the financing and the gap funds and the funding, the stuff I've been talking about with on these YouTube channels and on the social media posts with my partners, with my clients, more so now than ever before over the last 5 years, more so the last 2 years, really the last 6 months, because, you know, for those that have been in the game for a while, we kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? I don't want to get too carried away, but I started seeing some challenges and some differences in the real estate investment space in 2017. All right, not to get too far off track, let's talk about gap funds, right? Let's talk about renovating, because everybody wants to flip a freaking house. Okay, cool. This is what you got to figure out. You got to figure out the opportunity. You got to figure out the gap funds. Okay, and you got to figure out how to get through your projects efficiently, because the lender, you know, may not tell you, or you may not ask the right questions, but you got to get through the process, whether you're going short-term or long-term, right? So getting through that process, right? Acquiring the property, getting through the renovation project, having reserves, having breathing room, being able to get through most of, if not all of the renovation on your own. So that would be ideal. And I'm an agent, I'm a real estate broker. If I'm gonna work with someone in and around Kansas City and they wanna do real estate investments, I need to confirm that they have a good $30,000 to $60,000, if not more, to make sure that we can at least, you know, more seamlessly. There's still gonna be challenges and obstacles, but to be able to get through the process a little bit more seamlessly, right? So gap funds, critical, having that up front. And again, I talk about a number of different things when it comes to real estate investing, right? And so much of it comes down to the capital, the strategy, and the operations, all right? And so dig in, right? If you want to see examples, or if you want to learn how it works, you have capital, or you want to explore how you can make it in whatever market that you're in. It doesn't necessarily have to be Kansas City. It doesn't have to be with me and Upside Property Services. Of course, I'm going to plug that, because having ownership management or having boots on the ground, people you work with having a vested interest in seeing that the investment, that the business succeeds, is an absolute game changer. So getting through the process, right? Having access to capital, right? Having the game plan down, and then getting reps in, because on a lot of the transactions, it ends up costing more and taking longer. Some of them you don't make money on, okay? And so, or you have money tied up in an investment for 10 plus years. So being able to maneuver through that without getting discouraged, continuing to plug away, right? Knowing that it is a business is going to help you succeed so much. So plug in with me, right? You know, fundamentals for real estate investing. Talked about, you know, purchasing with cash, short-term funding, long-term financing. Either way, it's going to require some type of capital from you or whoever you bring in, and then leveraging somehow with the funding, right? And then as far as, you know, your real estate investing strategy, you got buy and hold, you got buy and resell. However that looks, again, we could get into 1,000 different situations or scenarios, but I wanted to keep it basic for today to help, you know, clarify and get people to think a little bit more about this process, right? Because it's different now. You know, again, fourth quarter 2024, to be able to get into a property, to be able to get it rehabbed, to get it financed if you want to keep it. It's quite a bit different than it was. All right. So that's all I have for today. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, it's Upside Property Services, Luther Wilson, Kansas City Real Estate. Have a good day, y'all.